Hey gals and guys, it's your host Phil Larson, and this is your Motivational High 5 on conflict. Let's do this. So this show is a super simple podcast show aimed at getting motivational high in about 5 minutes. Check out thestoryshop.tv/podcast, or if you're on Twitter, tweet with the hashtag YMH5, the number 5, YMH5. Let me know what you think about this podcast so far. We are on episode 6. I'm finally really starting to feel like I'm getting in a groove with this thing. Conflict. I want to talk about not fleeing from conflict, but first I want to talk about the conflict you probably do need to flee from, and that is some unhealthy conflict, such as if your emotional or physical well-being is being abused or in danger of being abused. And that is a conflict you do need to flee from and get help for. But other conflict, I think it really does us a disservice to flee from that. Some wise people in my life and my wife's life have adopted the mantra that we've adopted, which is the only way out is through. And sometimes with conflict, we just don't want to go through it. But I'm telling you, sometimes you have to. The only way out is through. And so you really got to force yourself to stay in and fight the good fight. Conflict is not bad. I want to read you this quote. Expressing anger becomes an act of trust that the other person is important and capable of handling anger. And for some of us, fleeing conflict is because we don't like being angry, or being angry gives us this unsettling feeling. And anger and conflict kind of go together. But in facing conflict head on and not being afraid of your anger or their anger, but letting it be as an act of trust to getting to the bottom of some issues, that's when conflict can be healthy. So when I have this mindset, I can express anger with my wife because that relationship is important enough to me to endure the conflict. I also do think I need to say that anger has its healthy and unhealthy forms as well, and the unhealthy forms can detract from healthy conflict confrontation. But that deserves its own podcast on anger some other time. One other helpful quote that really has helped in the circles that I'm in is this quote: "There is no relationship without conflict." And maybe that frustrates you a little bit. Because if you want a relationship, a real relationship with the people you love most and are closest to, you're going to have to embrace conflict. To avoid conflict would be choosing to avoid a chance to deepen your relationships. Because the truth is, those you love the most and are closest to, like for me, it's my wife, I'm probably going to face conflict the most. Upon resolving conflict with my wife, I've gained a better understanding of root issues and desires. And it is in digging deep below the surface to these root issues and desires that we discover great intimacy with our loved ones. I discover great intimacy with my wife by doing this work of digging deep. Guys, the only way out is through. Embrace conflict, face it head on, see it as an act of trust to build this relationship that ultimately you need to go through conflict to get. And finally, we're at the end of our episode where we decide to tell us some positive things about ourselves and rewire the negative narratives that have been hammered into us. And the way that we do that is looking at a reflection of ourselves, either in a mirror or in the front-facing camera on our phone. Find a place to do that. And when you have that place, will you say these things to yourself in the first person? Will you say this? I am strong enough to endure conflict and achieve deeper relationships. Good job, guys. And by doing that, you are going through. The only way out is through. And by what I mean through is confronting those negative narratives in your life. You're choosing to tell yourself positive ones, and really what you kind of have to do is fake it till you make it. But trust in your ability to rewire your brain. The science is there. It's backing you up. You can do it. Ultimately, only you have a say on your life's narrative. It starts with you.